This is the Horse Radio Network.
You've just landed in episode 507 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is brought to you by ECOGOLD, leader in equestrian textile engineering. Hi, Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is from Dr. Wendy Ying. Dr. Ying is host of the Riding Radio Show right here on the Horse Radio Network, as well as one of the few female competition four-in-hand drivers in the world. Plus, she is a veterinarian and practices traditional Chinese medicine. Today's tip is the second in a 7-part series about the 5 elements of Chinese medicine. Today's element? Wood. But first, a word from today's sponsor, ECOGOLD. ECOGOLD is a team of experts in the field of textile engineering with more than 50 years of experience in high-performance fabrics. Top international riders like Philip Dutton, Karen O'Connor, McLean Ward, Scott Stewart, Sean French, Ashley Holzer, and many more ride in their state-of-the-art saddle pads and help them develop new products at ECOGOLD. In high-level sports, the right product can give an athlete a competitive edge. And in recent years, there have been several developments in textiles. Just think of sports like hiking, skiing, or cycling, and garments using things like Lycra, Teflon, and Gore-Tex. How about using those high-tech fabrics and smart engineering to improve the performance of our equine athletes? Well, that's where ECOGOLD comes in. With their expertise and contacts in the textile industry, they are able to bring the latest developments in technology to the equestrian market and make the most advanced products to give the horses competitive edge. And they don't have a one-size-fits-all mentality. They use different technologies and different solutions to solve different issues. So ask for ECOGOLD saddle pads and protective boots by name at your local tack store, or visit them online at ecogold.ca. Now, enjoy today's tip.
All right, it's time for, and for those of you that are new to the show, my co-host sitting right across from me today. You're the only co-host I've ever done a show with across. Most of the time, They're in a different state or, a different country.
Yeah, this is better. I like to be here.
Yeah, you can at least see each other. Yeah, it is more fun. And I do enjoy visiting with you.
Oh, thanks.
We every week, we're going to do a weekly Chinese medicine update. Wendy... or Dr. Wendy, whatever. We'll call you Dr. Wendy during the segment and Wendy all the other time.
That's fine.
Dr. Wendy is a real veterinarian. Mm-hmm. You have your DVM, but you're currently practicing traditional Chinese medicine.
Right.
So I thought it would be really cool every week to have you on talking about that. And last week you introduced a segment that's going to be 6 weeks long, actually. Mm-hmm. And that is the 5 elements of Chinese medicine.
Right.
That really have to do with medicine and personality both.
Yeah, because that's really interconnected. So your basic personality kind of sets you up for different medical conditions. Like if you're, the most common thing that people know is like, I'm a type A person, so I'm prone to heart disease or high blood pressure. With the Chinese medicine, right, or ulcers. So that's the same thing in Chinese medicine, is just split up into 5 different personalities. But so your emotional well-being also can reflect your health. So it's good to first figure out what your personality is and how to best manage your emotional status, and you can live a healthier life.
So what we're going to do is over the next 5 weeks, we're going to do one each week. And what you want to listen for is, who are you? What of these 5 elements are you? And then Wendy's actually going to relate it back at the end of each of these to what type of horse best fits your element.
Right.
So, and that's been fascinating for us because we talked about this a little bit, and it's been kind of neat because, and she's been right on a couple of the people we've talked to. It's like, no, you shouldn't have a wild Arab. You just shouldn't have that. You're not that. It's wrong element, wrong horse. And it was. The wrong element, the wrong horse in those cases. So you want to listen over the next 5 weeks to this, and if you missed part 1 of the introduction to this, you can just go back to episode 2 and take a listen.
Right.
So we're talking about wood today.
Yes, we're talking about wood today, and the important thing to remember is that we all have all 5 different elements in our personality. So you have to figure out what's dominant. And also throughout your lifespan, You can change, like one element is dominant than the other. So,
if I was a fire when I'm younger and I get older, I become a wood?
I mean, that could happen depending on circumstances in your life.
Just because you get older and more tired? And...
Yeah, like what if you're a happy-go-lucky fire, right? And then you're in some kind of relationship that beats you down all the time. You're in a crappy job and you hate everything about your life and you're exposed to pollution. Then you can switch over to be more dominated by your wood element.
Okay, all right, sorry.
So, but if you're in balance and you're healthy emotionally and physically, then your true personality will come through. That's why sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell, because if you're out of balance and you have like too much wood, you're like crabby all the time. You think, oh, I'm a wood.
All right, so tell us about wood.
Okay, so the wood. Here we go. So the wood element is most horses are either wood or fire. And the wood element, they tend to be aggressive, and they're great athletes, and they have that desire to win. Like I just watched Secretariat last night, and he must have been a wood because he is winning. He doesn't care if his heart burst on the track. He's going to win. That's a wood. And
that's true for people too. They're the same traits.
They're really competitive. But then the downside of wood is they are afraid to fail in front of others. So sometimes they're driven not because they want to win, it's because they don't want to lose. And so then they're a little bit conflicted because they may be trying to win for the wrong reasons. So, and also they get aggravated in their circumstances because they are dominant, right? They want to be the boss of everything, but then sometimes you can't be the boss of everything. You have to cooperate or you cannot get a task accomplished.
So would you say they're team players or not so
they're
much?
Not so much. They're
okay.
kind of on their own.
So these are individuals and they're individualistic.
Yeah, and when they get unbalanced, they're real crabby. Sometimes they feel frustrated because we say that the wood...
Are they the perfectionists of the... Really, are they perfectionists?
Yeah,
too?
they can be in a way.
Yeah.
But sometimes they get a little bit irrational about their goals. Like they may not always see the goals. Maybe the goal is just to win, but they can't plan how to get there. So
not so good at the little steps.
Not so good at the baby steps. So the wood is called a general, right? Where the fire is the emperor. So sometimes the wood gets aggravated because he thinks he's the general, he's in charge, but at the end of the day, the figurehead is the one actually calling the shots. So those are the things that sets up the wood for emotional imbalance. In a horse, you can tell if they're wood. If I always look at their place in the pasture, their place on the totem pole of the pasture. So the dominant horse in the herd is usually the wood. So, and usually...
My horse is a wood.
Your horse is a wood?
He's out with 10 horses. It's little quarter horse gelding, and he's out with 10 other geldings, and he's the littlest one of the pack, and he rolls the roost.
Yeah, then he's a wood.
And he doesn't kick them, nothing. He puts his ears back, and they all scatter. It's just like they know.
He has to just look.
Yeah.
He's dominated them all.
Yeah.
And in a lot of the horse books that you'll read about like horse herd mentality, they always say, oh, the biggest one is the most dominant. Well, that's not true because look, your little one is like this scrappy
there are
little
draft horses out there.
Right. And he's like,
he's 15 hands of quarter horse.
Yeah. And so now if you're at a boarding stable, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So now if somebody else introduced another wood into that paddock, they're going to have to fight it out and see who's going to be the top. But that other wood is not even going to have to fight with the other ones because he's just going to dominate them by looking at them.
Okay, so if I'm a wood as a person, if you're a wood and you're driven,
right,
and you're driven to the point that you're almost obsessive about it.
Yeah, you are kind of obsessive.
Yeah. So that person, then, what kind of horse should they have? If you were going to name a couple of breeds of horses that would best fit.
Oh, breeds? Yeah, okay. No, when you look at the breeds, of course, in all breeds, there's all different personalities.
Right.
But, we kind
generalizing,
of... Yeah, generalizing. Like, a wood person does not go very well with a water, which is like fearful. Because they're too dominant. Like, they're like, I'm going to win, and the horse is afraid.
Afraid, yeah.
So when, a lot of rescue horses... end up there. They just like completely go crazy, or they don't want to be caught.
Thoroughbreds are not a good choice.
The thoroughbreds can be, it depends. And also, some horses really need a leader, and they want to be told what to do. Like a mettle is one that likes to have rules and be told what to do. So they love a wood because the wood bosses them, And a fire is actually really bad because the fire is like so joyful and happy. Like, look at me, I'm so pretty. And the wood's like, you know what? I don't care if you're pretty. I want you to work and I want to win. So that can be a little bit of conflict too. And the best one for a wood is actually either another wood, because
they're both that driven.
They both like to fight.
Yeah.
And like a wood horse, the wood horse is the one that you take out of the barn, and every time you ride them, they're like, "Are you sure you really want to do that?" And you're like, "Yes, I really want to do that." And they can be so aggravating for somebody that's not a wood, whereas the other wood would be like, and actually, if you're a strong enough person, your horse, even if it's a wood, is not going to even question you because they're just going to know. But like me, I'm so bad. Like mine graze while they're hooked to the carriage. Like they know they can get away with that, but they never try that with Sterling. So the wood and the wood go well together. Whereas a wood horse is very difficult for anybody else besides a wood or a metal person. And the wood also gets along very well with the earth, who's the lazy horse. Because the lazy horse isn't going to go anywhere, so it needs someone bossy to tell it to go.
Huh.
So
interesting.
Yeah. Because, like here's a perfect example. If you see like summer camp, right, with all these kids, and some kid gets on and they're kind of like wishy-washy about riding, and if they were on a wood horse, that horse would just like go wherever it wanted. It might just park at the in gate.
That's right, because the kid's timid.
Because the kid's timid. Also on trail rides, the wood's always going to want to be first.
We were a little worried about that when my wife brought our quarter horse that we had bought as a trail horse, and we really wanted something that was just going to be fun to sit on and hack around on.
Yeah.
Nothing to do anything serious with. So she brought him to the fox hunt they were cubbing, and he was terrific. And she was really afraid that he was going to be in front of the hounds,
Right.
But he was terrific. He was great. Once he figured out that he could get away with staying in the back and just following along, he was fine. And it got a lot of compliments, actually.
Right.
And then followed by, how big is that horse? Because they're all out there with their 17. But he was the one that was also quiet because he had been trail ridden and...
Because he's confident.
He's confident. And when you do a lot of standing around when you're fox hunting.
Yeah.
And all the other horses are bouncing and carrying on, and they're all having to work to keep them under control. And Beaker, our horse, is just standing there, And Jennifer said it was so nice. She said after 2 more times, she thinks she'll be able to ride him without the reins at a fox hunt.
Yeah, I remember her saying that. But now that's a great example because Jennifer is a mettle. Like she's really organized. That's how she's such a great producer.
Right.
So Beaker knows that here is the parameters that he can work in without getting a beating, right? So he knows that she's leading him, and he's okay being led by someone that he has confidence in. He doesn't want to be led by somebody that he doesn't think knows what they're doing. But she's competent, and she's already set the rules, and she doesn't change what the rules are. So he works well in that.
Well, you do know her. She does that with me, too.
Exactly. Keeps you in line.
I always have to follow the dumb rules.
But a wood would that's why wood and fire don't really go. Because the wood would get aggravated that a fire would change all the time. So like, what do you want me to do? I did this last week, and now this week you want to do something different. So that they don't mind being dominated by somebody that they have confidence in.
All right, good. So that's the wood.
That's the wood.
What are we talking about next week?
Next week, we're going to talk about fire.
Okay.
So those are the 2 most common personalities in horses. And then after that, we'll go to earth. And most dogs are earth.
Is that right?
Yeah, earth or water.
Huh. That's interesting. Okay, cool. So that's it. That's and where do you have a website for your practice, by the way?
Yes, it's www.5elements, the number 5 the word element, and the number 4, animals.
Okay.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Wendy and Glenn the Geek. To listen to all of Wendy's tips, just go to horsetipdaily.com and head on over to the experts drop-down menu on the left. All of the experts are right there, alphabetized and easy to find, and Glenn the Geek is in there as well. You can also go to Wendy's website at www.sportcobb.com and see what she's up to. Please stop by the Horse Tip Daily Facebook page and let us know what you think of the tips you hear on the show. It's also a great place to tell us about topics you'd like to hear us cover. You can subscribe to all of the great shows on the Horse Radio Network through iTunes or Zune and get your horse podcasts automatically downloaded to your iPod, Zune, or MP3 player. I'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, go ride your horse! The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.